Well, it's comfort and luxury at its best. Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. They are located on the Entebbe Highway. When you get to Entebbe town, they are right before the airport. And of course, they do have a swimming pool, like you can see on your screen. They do have a kitchen. They do have sleeping in case you and your loved ones want to spend the night. That is Protea Hotel by Marriott, our beautiful sponsors. Now, you're welcome to Issues at Hand, where we are here every morning to dissect pressing issues and also see how to contribute to the positive change of our society, economically, socially, and development-wise. Now, we have a very huge mandate as the media to bring you this information, but also to bring people of substance that can help us understand the issues going on, of course, around us as a country and as a nation. Now, these people have different expertise in various fields and are the right people to set the pace and also cause positive change among us. Now, of course, authorities have said that the number of people who died in a boat accident on Lake Victoria last week has reached 30, whereas Saturday morning, the bodies recovered were 25. Police Marine Unit Commander Ubalo Bamunova, who is leading the search mission, has revealed that more bodies have been recovered. Now, he said the search mission continues by the Police Marine Divers, UPDF Fishers and Protection Unit, and the fishing community that are navigating the Lake Victoria waters. And of course, the early morning accident last Wednesday saw a boat carrying 34 people capsize in Lake Victoria. Now, we do stand with the bereaved families and we wish them a very, very quick healing process. And of course, we say that it is very, very sad that that happened. And of course, we stand with you in prayers. Now, of course, you are welcome to Issues at Hand. Like I said, my name is Karen Noamani, and today we are going to be looking at a very, very interesting topic, like you can see on your screen, the Electoral Roadmap 2026. But as a person, I think it's too early. We're still in 2023, but our guest today is going to help us understand why. His name is Nsuube Richard from the Electoral Commission Public Relations Office. You're welcome to studio.
Thank you very much, Carol. I want to salute Family TV for always and constantly inviting us, to talk electoral-related matters. And also to inform the public of what we are doing and what we're about to do or what we have done. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councillorship of LC1 and LC2. We saw that story in the papers a lot, and they were supposed to have voted new councillors.
Yes.
What happened?
Thank you so much, Carol. First of all, the Electoral Commission planned for the election of LC1 and LC2, and then women councils. And the process had started because we had expected full funding from government. But we had kick-started off a few activities, and then government, informed us that there are no funds. So we had to stop. So I think one of the reasons, because I've had a discussion with you before this, is the government does not have money, but in this financial year they have promised that once the money is availed, they are going to avail us to us, and then we resume the conduct of the elections of LC1 and LC2s, and then women councils and committees. Okay.
Yes. Of course, it's a very normal thing for government not to have money. There's a lot to deal with, and
government has a lot of priority areas, and it's the biggest spender. So we understand that yes, money may not be available, but there's a lot of commitment from government to have these elections conducted. Okay. I think recently you saw in Parliament there were vigorous debates, and I think when you look at the trajectory, you can see that yes, it's just because of funds. But once the funds are available, these elections will resume. Okay.
Yes. Do you think it's a very wise idea for the councillors that were there now to hold office for another year? Some of them even died, by the way. About 3 that I've heard of that died, and the offices are vacant.
Yes. I think recently there was an extension for 6 months for them to still stay in office for 6 months. Yes, but for us as Electoral Commission, we don't have the mandate, to extend their tenure in office. Our mandate is to wait for Parliament to enact laws or to guide on what we can do next. So as of now, they are in office legally, because their tenure was extended for 6 months by Parliament.
Thank you.
Yes.
You are in the Public Relations Office for Electoral Commission, but also a senior election officer. And I'd like us to get into our topic today, which is the electoral roadmap for the 2026 general elections. Now, of course, it is a bit early. That is what I want to start with. Yes. It is 2023. Why are we talking about 2026 general elections?
Thank you. I think I was sounding a bit low. Let me up my voice.
Okay.
When we talk of the launch, because we are excited as Electoral Commission that we've launched this roadmap, the 2020, 2022-2027 general elections. We have to. The roadmap is a document. The strategy is a document that guides or outlines the priority areas the Electoral Commission is going to undertake. Now, this strategy is going to run from 2022 to 2027. This very document also informs the Electoral Commission on how we can formulate our roadmap for the 2025-2026 elections. So we are so excited. We launched it on the 2nd at Hotel Africana of this very month. And we're excited that stakeholders came, participated, gave us their views. And yes, now we're on course. So we are not early because the electoral process, it's not an event. The elections are not an event. They are processes.
Yes.
And then this strategy gives us the timeline because these activities are funded in a phased manner. We have a lot of activities that we undertake before we go to the polling to cast our votes as Ugandans, or what we call the polling day. So this strategy is going to help us fund those different activities. It's going to help government to also look for money and find, because the pressure is reduced. We cannot wait for 2024 or 2025 to launch this program. So the strategy is not early as you've put it. It's timely, and we think if we kick off as we've anticipated, we think at the end of the day, this election is going to be free and fair, and then Ugandans will go and cast their votes.
Okay, so early preparation.
Yes.
Early preparation is what you are looking at,
Yes.
and you think that it's going to help a lot. If you're prepared early, everything is going to go smooth.
For instance, I can give you an example. If I can put it to the common person, if I'm planning to take you as my wife, this is I'm just
Giving an example.
Then I'm going to plan for 2 functions. There's the introduction and then there's the wedding.
Very true.
So I have to plan early enough. I have to know who am I. First of all, I've identified you as my wife to be. And then 2, also have to identify where am I going to get the funds to facilitate this activity. Then who are going to be which stakeholders do I need? In terms of relatives, in terms of friends, what about the venue? So when you plan early enough, it means you're going to have this activity in a phased manner. Like I said, you have the introduction up to the wedding. Now, if in the context of elections, we have so many activities. Before we go to the wedding, that's the polling day. So once we roll out this activity, and most of these activities they have timelines by law. So we cannot wait towards the end for us to start planning for this general roadmap, general election roadmap. So what we have to do is, what we've done, we sat down as Electoral Commission, invited stakeholders, and after the general elections, then we had evaluations. And then after that, we came up with a comprehensive strategic plan that will guide us on how we are going to conduct the general elections of 2025-2026. So, like I said, we cannot wait towards the end, because if you wait, then other activities will be affected. Two, government will also be pressurized in terms of, because there's a lot of money that is involved in conducting an election. So that's why we've come early enough.
Okay.
So that we start early enough, so that at the end of the day, by 2026, these elections are conducted, and Ugandans have representation at all levels.
All right. Talking about the money, last time they used 800 billion to prepare the elections of 2021. But before we get to the money part, let's start from the Electoral Commission strategic plan. What is it about?
The plan, I think I've just explained it. It's a document that really outlines what the key priority areas and strategies that the Commission is going to undertake to hold the general elections for the 2025-2026.
Okay.
So that's what I've just said. It involves the activities that are within the roadmap.
Okay.
Because the strategy stretches from 2022 to 2027.
Yes.
So in between, there are so many activities. So when that strategy was from, when we got the strategy, and we realized that we have it now, it has informed us on how we're going to conduct the general elections and with a roadmap.
All right. I believe a plan was developed, but were consultations made? Were any consultations made, and from who and how?
Thank you very much. After the 2020-2021 general elections, we had the evaluations. We had we had regional evaluations. We invited stakeholders, and they gave us recommendations. We also had reports from other stakeholders. We had reports from observers, civil society. So we came up with, we looked at so many activities and we also looked at the different challenges, the different improvements from the recommendations. So we made so many consultations. We went to the regions. We also had national consultations. So that's how we came up with this comprehensive strategy that will guide us in the conduct of these general elections.
Okay, I believe this strategy has some key highlights that you'd like to mention.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, of course, the strategy, first was it's comprehensive, but then we've looked at one, stakeholder engagement. We want to improve on stakeholder engagement. We have to to improve on the synergies that we have with the stakeholders, government involvement, technology improvement. We've looked at how we can also make sure that the staff, we have competent technical staff. So these are some of the highlights that I can briefly, mention.
All right. Last election in 2021, Electoral Commission used about 800 billion Uganda shillings.
Yes.
And I understand that this coming elections in 2026, 2027?
Yes.
Or 2025?
25 and 26.
Okay. You are set to use 1,807 billion
Yes.
Uganda shillings. Now that is a very, very big difference in the money, in the numbers. Why?
Thank you very much. First of all, this budget, we looked at so many cost drivers. When you look at, there are so many increments or changes that have taken place. For instance, we are going to have an increment in the number of candidates that are going to contest. Yes.
How sure are you?
Yeah, because we shall have more administrative units. All those units will have representation. We shall have an increment in the number of polling stations. Automatically, we have an increase in the population. For instance, last general elections, we had 18 million voters. We have an estimation of 24 million voters this time round. So all those are cost drivers. We have technology. We have technological improvements. We have to buy equipment. We have to there are so many that these are cost drivers that have really made this budget look as if it's too big. But as a commission, we don't just bloat the budget. We look at each and every activity, and then that drives or that is included in the general elections. So we have so many cost drivers, and that's one of the reasons. Those are some of the reasons as to why you are seeing the 1,387 billion. There are so many things that really have changed. For instance, the cost of fuel. By 2018, it was 3,000. By 2018, when we were coming up with the strategy, the roadmap, yes. Right now, the cost of fuel, I think, is 5,000, tending to 6,000.
Yes.
So that's almost double. I'm just giving you just a scenario. Then we also have, because we want to also make sure that our staff are competent, we have to train staff, we have to bring on board more staff, recruit more staff. So those are some of the factors that really have brought up the increase to that number.
Okay.
To that figure, sorry.
So this is the money that covers everything, including staff salaries?
No.
Interesting.
No, those are cost operations. Yes, salaries are different.
Okay.
Yes, salaries
so
are
the people
different.
that you're planning to hire, for example, to go down in the villages and stuff like that,
yes,
they have a different budget?
They have a different, yes, because during general elections or any other election, we recruit staff, temporary staff, that are going to help us conduct of these elections from parish, sub-county, district, even at here at headquarters. So now, that also bloats the figures to that. Yes.
So you are expecting 24 million voters compared to last time when we had 18 million voters.
Yes.
These voters, how are they going to, are we looking at an increase in, because there's an increase in population, or because I'm looking at the fact that there are not going to be any new parishes? We're going to use the same parishes.
Carol, I've just alluded to the fact that we are going to have an increment in the administrative units. Now, that means that we shall have more villages, we shall have more parishes, we shall have more sub-counties, more cities, even more districts.
True.
Now, whenever there is an addition in terms of an administrative unit, either a parish, that's a cost driver. It means we shall have to deploy someone there in that parish. If it's a sub-county, it means we shall have to deploy someone in that sub-county. If there are more districts created, if there are more cities created, we shall have staff to man that electoral area. So we cannot assume that we're going to have constant administrative. You want it or not, we shall have an increment in those administrative units. How
sure are you that the 24 million voters that you've planned for won't be a higher figure than that, or a lower figure than that?
Yeah, that's an estimated figure. That's what we call it, an estimate. It can be lower, it can be higher, it can even be double what we've estimated. So, but it's an estimate, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's look at some issues that are affecting us now when we get to elections.
Yes.
In 2021, we saw some media houses reporting that this candidate has this number of votes, but a different media house is reporting a different number of votes.
Yes.
But the vote count was a little bit tricky.
That's on polling day?
On polling day?
Yes.
And my question would be, how independent is the Electoral Commission? Do you have any external powers that come in and say and guide you, or are you an independent party? What is the truth?
First, thank you so much. We are independent, and there's no doubt. The Electoral Commission is now. The question you've got, because you've mixed the questions.
There are two in one.
The two in one. Announcing or declaring results is a preserve of the Electoral Commission, not a media house, not a person, not any by law. That's a preserve of the Electoral Commission. So if Carol came and announced or gave the media or public a different figure, that's your own information. But the mandate, the preserve, the legal institution supposed to give results is the Electoral Commission. Now, during like you talked about the 2021 general elections, yes, people came up with these different figures, but we've always told people, one, if you are participating in elections, you have deployed your polling agents. At the closure of polls, each polling agent is given a DR form, what we call the Declaration of Results form. Each of them is entitled to one. You understand? Then the results are also transferred or taken to the district. That's the district tally center. They're also added up, and the RO declares if it's at the district level or member of parliament or anything. Then also announces the total results per polling station in that very district. Now, those results are also transmitted to the National Tally Center. Each and every candidate present at the district tally center is also given a copy, a soft copy and a hard copy printed. You understand? So, and the results are also transmitted to the National Tally Center. The returning officer at the National Tally Center is the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Also receives the results, they're added up and also declared. You understand? So for me as Richard, if I come up and say I have different results, yes, it's okay. But if I think what the Electoral Commission has declared is wrong, I have avenues. And those avenues are not for me to pick up a stone and throw it at you, but I can go to court and challenge those results with evidence. So that's how, first of all, that's a simple way of showing our independence. We cannot be, pushed around by someone for us to have different results, yet the actual results are different. Now, also the Electoral Commission does not work in a vacuum. We work with stakeholders. So there's also interdependence. You understand? Because we work with the media, isn't it?
Yes,
we work with government, we work with civil society, we work with even the voters, political parties. So there's independence and interdependence. Now the independence comes in the decisions that we make. Are they legal? Are they constitutional? That's where the independence comes in. But when it comes to funding, of course, we run to donors, we go to government. That's what we call the interdependence, because we work with stakeholders. But others, I want to assure Ugandans that Electoral Commission, in whatever we do, in whichever decision that we make, we do it independently for the good of Ugandans.
Okay.
Yes.
You talking about independence still, you mentioned that you work with government. Should we believe that government actually helps you in some of these things? Does government come and say, do this like this? Does government aid you in a way, or maybe give you guidelines?
I think I've got your question. And the question is no. They don't coerce us to do things that are illegal. But we also work with government in terms of with parliament, in terms of enactment of laws, isn't it? Because they are the ones that guide us on what to do. And then you also work with government in terms of funding. Like we've told you, we have phased off activities. They also they all need funds. So we have to go to government. One of the reasons we didn't have the LC1, LC2 elections, we just talked about it, yes. Lack of funds, because government didn't have funding. Now, if the funds are not there, then we cannot conduct. That's how we also depend on government. Now, when it comes to security, let me give you an example. When we are going to conduct elections, we need security, so we shall need police and other security agencies that police can recommend to make sure that the electoral processes are safe. So yes, we depend on government, but they do not direct us on what to do in terms of illegal conclusions or outcomes. No. We go to them for collaborations, for funding, for advice, for enactment of laws. And after that, whatever happens, because we're the technical people, whatever happens, whatever we do is guided by the laws that govern elections.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about social expectations, and I want to get your opinion, personal opinion,
Yes.
about the people who want to stand for office, and
Yes.
they do that by giving people money. For example, MPs, they come with a lot of money and they splash it around to get votes. What is your personal opinion about that? Do you think that's a good thing to do?
Of course, it's wrong. It's one of the electoral vices that we've always condemned. Elections have been monetized so much that even the voters
Now expect.
do not look at the quality of the leaders they want in office. As long as you have some money, as long as you can facilitate a few things, then they'll vote you into office. Voter bribery is an offense. And once the courts of law prove that yes, there was bribery, your victory will be cancelled. So for me, my appeal, and I'm not talking as a person because this is not a personal opinion, it's there in the guidelines. When you are intending to contest for any electoral office, make sure that you've prepared your manifesto very well. Go and market it to the voters. Let the voters judge who has the best manifesto. If you think your manifesto is not good enough, wait for the next round of elections. If you think you're not yet prepared, look for people around that can help you make your manifesto better, so that when you go to the people and present yourself, the voters can see substance in whatever you're presenting to them. They'll come and vote for you. Then my appeal to the voters is, when someone comes and buys your vote, it means when they assume office, they want, first of all, to recover what they spent. Then two, the mandate or the audacity for you to demand for quality services is already lost. Because there's exchange. If I was able to buy your vote, then what are you asking me? Why are you telling me there are no roads? Why are you asking me that we don't have hospitals? So you look at the quality of the person presenting himself or herself to you and make judgments. But one of the electoral offenses is voter bribery. And I want to condemn it in the hardest terms possible. So that, one of the reasons we are suffering is people get excited. People say Richard Yasman is splashing money around, and then they get excited. If I'm going to get 10,000 from you, or 5,000, or even 1,000, I'm going to spend it in a day. I put you in office, and you're going to give us, you're not going to serve us. For the next 5 years, we are going to stay in poverty. We are going to have a crumbling health system. We shall not have a good road network. Health. So all sectors will be affected because of the quality of leaders that we put in those offices. And most of them go there because they have gone to the last common man, and then they have confused that person with a few thousands or even some little money, and then they make a decision. They go to the ballot make a decision based on money, not on quality or substance.
Little money at that.
And it's always little money. Like I said, some people are given 1,000. Someone comes and gives you. Actually, some people are given even 500 in the villages. They give you 500, you go and take a journal or some waraji, and then you go and cast a vote. Then that vote is lost because you've given it to someone whose first was not trustworthy. If I come and buy your vote, then you question my integrity. Then for you, whose vote I've bought, I'm also going to question your integrity, which means you're not going to put me on pressure to task for me to provide for you services that you expect from me as a leader.
Okay.
Yes.
We're discussing the electoral roadmap that was launched recently by the Electoral Commission, the electoral roadmap for the 2026 general elections. And in studio with me is Mr. Nsuube Richard from the Electoral Commission Office of the Public Relations, and he is the Senior Election Officer. We are going through some of these things that are going to happen what to expect when come 2026, who to expect, who to work with, who are the stakeholders, what is the budget, and all those other questions. You're still watching Issues at Hand, but I'd like to take a very short break, and we're returning with more questions like expectations from stakeholders, for example, and malpractices. Of course, we can't do a show like this one and fail to talk about malpractices, but we'll be back shortly. Stay with us. If you ever think about comfort and luxury, think about Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe, located just next to the airport in Entebbe town. Now, welcome back to Issues at Hand. My name is Caro, and we are here discussing the Electoral Roadmap 2026 general elections. Of course, there's a lot of expectations. I don't know which candidates are coming back and which candidates I'm going to support this time around, and which candidates my guest, Mr. Nsuube Richard, is going to support this time around. Did you vote last time?
Unfortunately, I didn't vote.
I had another question. If you had said yes, who was your candidate of choice? But okay, if you didn't vote, then that's...
actually, one of the challenges that we have, and one of in the proposals that we had, made to government, was to also make sure that some of the players, the managers of these elections, are also given an opportunity to vote. For instance, on polling day, all EC staff do not get a chance to vote. They are unable. Because we are very preoccupied. Then look at the police. They are moving around, making sure that there's security. They don't participate in the voting. So some, in one way or the other, we are disenfranchised. So we don't get that luxury to exercise our mandate.
But who would you have voted?
Any candidate of my choice. The person who comes and presents themselves to me, and I think they have the best alternatives, then yes, why not? I'll vote for them.
Okay, now there's an interesting thing, guys. Imagine somebody in prison voting. Also, imagine somebody in the diaspora voting. These are new developments that have come from the Electoral Commission. This coming elections of 2026 general elections, the people in the diaspora are expected to participate in the voting, as well as people in prison. Now, I'm imagining this means that, of course, in some way or the other, candidates are going to have to vie for votes from people in prison. And we were just wondering how this is going to happen. Is a candidate going to come to prison and say, guys, I'm going to give you rice and beans every day, or rice and meat every day if you vote me into power, or I'm going to take you out of prison if you vote me into power? And I'd like to understand from Mr. Nsuube this development from the Electoral Commission. How is it going to work, and why have you come up with it this time around?
Thank you very much, Carol. Court ruled that we organize elections for people in the diaspora, those living outside Uganda, and then for inmates, the prisoners. Yes, the Electoral Commission has embarked on it. We, with the different stakeholders, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, NIRA, and so many other stakeholders, the government itself. So we are making preparations. Voting in the diaspora, for you to vote in Uganda, you have to belong, to originate from that parish, or you have to be a resident of that very parish. Now, the diaspora we are still looking at how are they going to vote. Are they going to go to the embassies? And so we are waiting for guidance.
Okay.
But the preparations are there. Even voting in the diaspora and for inmates, it's also in our strategic plan, and it's also planned for. So, but now we are waiting for amendments because the laws are not yet amended to guide the Electoral Commission on how we can conduct those elections. But like you said, a candidate we'll go to the prisoners. Like the candidate goes to any other electorates and present their manifesto. Whether he or she promises to make sure that they are all released or whatever promises they make, as long as they appeal to the inmates will cast their votes for the person they think is presenting the best manifesto. So yes, we are waiting for guidance and some amendments from government, and then we proceed. But for us as Electoral Commission, it's in our strategy, the comprehensive strategy that we presented, that we launched the other time.
And these votes going to be rigged, especially the diaspora ones, because I believe they're going to be online. And technology these days is twisted a bit. Carol,
I've just said, we cannot, because we've not been guided on how they're going to vote. But for us as Electoral Commission, we've prepared for such voting. And we know that if we are guided by the laws, if the amendments are made, and that guide us on how the people in the diaspora are going to conduct their voting, then we shall implement. But right now, we do not have the mandate or to even to assume how these people are going to vote.
Okay.
Because the laws that govern elections in Uganda are a bit different. Because like I said, they are based on someone's place of origin or residence. You have to belong to a parish. In the diaspora, there are no parishes. You understand? How are the polling stations going to be, placed? But like we said, we're also benchmarking with other electoral bodies in other countries that conduct these elections. And we think sooner, if we are guided, then we shall conduct these elections.
All right.
Yes.
We expect that to go well. Of course, as the media, we're going to keep our eye on the ground and make sure that we cover these stories, bring them to the people.
Yeah, of course, that's your mandate. And, I think our appeal to the media is to always disseminate and update the voters with information, because that's what they want. That's what they want. For us to do our part, we shall do the voter education. We shall do part of the civic education, but then that information will be disseminated to the last person in the village through you, the fourth estate.
All right.
Yes.
But do you educate these people about malpractices, ballot stuffing, cheating, and stuff like that?
Yeah, of course. When we always highlight these offences, the duties and responsibilities of all stakeholders in elections. And when we highlight these duties and responsibilities, we also highlight the offences. If you go against this is how court is going to rule. This is the punishment you will suffer. And as Electoral Commission and even other partners, we've always educated the citizens, not even voters, the citizens, on the offenses that can be easily committed by people, either out of omission or commission. And like I said, even we outline the consequences of, for instance, voter bribery. Everyone knows that if a bribe is an offense, it's illegal for you to ask for a bribe or to give a bribe. Okay. Not even in elections. So I've seen people do that, even the educated ones, and they know. So, but for us, our job is to keep on reminding them and telling them, if you ask for a bribe from a candidate, you are doing a disservice to yourself and to your community. If a candidate offers a bribe or something else to twist your decision making in his or her favor, then you can tell of that candidate that, no, what I want from you is a clear manifesto. Present to me what you think you are going to do for us that is different, that's going to improve the conditions of living in our society. Otherwise, if you keep on asking for a bribe or giving a bribe, then that society will remain in such dire state of poverty, of disease, of poor road network. And that's what we tell them, or the people. Even when we are training our people, this is the type of information we give to them. That please, when you are in the field, talk to your people, talk to your father, talk to your mother, talk to your sister about the dangers of involving yourself in electoral malpractices. Because at the end of the day, the impact on the service delivery that a candidate or a country has to give to you as an individual or as individuals in a particular society or as even as a country.
Thank you.
Yes.
As a country, we must make sure that we end malpractices. I don't know how, but it is a very, very bad thing, and it will keep us behind, like our guest today has said. But of course, the Electoral Commission is not a standalone. It is not an island. It works with stakeholders. Government is one of them, like you mentioned.
Yes.
But who are the other stakeholders, and what are your expectations from them?
We have very many stakeholders. Like you said, government. We have civil society. We have the media, we have religious leaders, or religions, but religious leaders per se, the religious entities. We have the voters, because without voters we cannot conduct elections. We have political parties that are registered, and we have donors. We have so many stakeholders, and what we expect of them is for them to, one, work within their mandates, their roles and responsibilities, not overstretch. For instance, if I'm a staff of Electoral Commission, what are my duties? What are my roles? What are the expectations that society expects from me? If you are media, you're a journalist, what are you supposed to do as a journalist? So that you don't stretch beyond your mandate or beyond your jurisdiction. And also know that at the end of the day, for us, we've always given these duties, we've availed them to the different stakeholders, but some of them don't read them. You understand?
Okay.
For instance, if you're a candidate and you're supposed to have agents, do you know how many agents you're supposed to have? Do you know the role of an agent? Or for you just say, okay, Richard and Carol, go and be my agents. So if people can, first of all, know their roles and duties and responsibilities as stakeholders, I think it will go a long way in helping us to conduct free and fair elections. If there is less money, the monetization of elections, people now think, for me to win an election, I have to invest colossal sums of money for me to be elected into office. Now, that has also excluded good-willing politicians who don't have money, but they are good. They can provide good leadership, good and able leadership. So I think if we can eliminate that, but for stakeholders, I think our appeal is very clear. First of all, come on board. Look at the strategic plan that the Electoral Commission has unveiled. Look at the roadmap that has been extracted from the strategic plan. Then start planning early enough. For government, it's good for you to look at the roadmap, analyze it, and then start the phased funding, because it's very clear.
Okay.
It's the different financial years. Then for the political parties and intending candidates, look at the strategic roadmap plan, look at the roadmap, analyze it, and then also disseminate the same information to the people around you. So that at the end of the day, Electoral Commission will find it easy to work with the stakeholders who are informed and they know what to do at a particular time, and when and how to and what to do at a given time. Otherwise, if you don't do that, we shall come to nominations and people are not aware. We shall do the demarcation of electoral areas and people are not aware. Even the candidates may not be aware. So our appeal is, one, let's look at the roadmap, let's look at the strategic plan, analyze them, engage the Electoral Commission on a regular basis. Because like we always say, this roadmap is not a permanent document. It's not cast in stone. it's subject to changes. So that's what we are waiting for feedback from the stakeholders, so that we make adjustments and then we move towards a free and fair election.
Our time is fast spent, but just in 20 seconds, how can someone access the roadmap? Because I believe it's for Ugandans and they can access it if they want.
Thank you. The roadmap is uploaded on our website, www.ec.or.ug.
Okay.
Was I very fast? www.ec.or.ug. Then we also have copies at the headquarters. We are also going to disseminate these copies to the different stakeholders. We are going to go to the region, to the different regions, to launch at regional level, to launch this strategic plan and roadmap. And still we shall avail these hard copies to the different stakeholders. But we have it in soft copy on our website.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for a beautiful show that you have given us today. And of course, we are expecting a lot when it comes to the 2026 general elections. We don't know if General Nsuube is coming back on the ballot paper. We don't know if people like Engineer Patrick Amoya Toboy are coming back from FDC. We have UPC's Jimmy Akena, who is retiring. We have people like Nancy Kalembe and John Katumba. We don't know if they will be on our ballot papers. But it's all expectations. And people who got lost. We have General Tumukundi. Is he coming back? JPAM, Honorable John Patrick Amambawazi, who also stood for presidency sometime. All these people going to be on the ballot paper. It's going to be a very interesting 2026 general elections, and we shall be here to cover it and, of course, bring you live updates on that day. But we are still launching the roadmap and making sure that you understand 3 years prior to the day. And, of course, Electoral Commission is doing its best to make sure that organizations are going on, that trainings of their staff members are going on, and other things that our guest today has told us about. We do thank him so much, and we do thank you so much for being a lively audience and a very, very, very good audience. Remember that Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe is the place to be in case you want comfort and luxury at its best. My name is Karen Wamani. Stay with us. Don't go away.